And our final bill on the agenda today is the House Commerce, Finance, and Policy Committee Omnibus Liquor Bill. I will be the chief author this year of that bill, and as I make my way to the testifying table, Representative Perryman will step in as the chair. So right back after this commercial announcement. Representative Stevenson, is there a commercial for Anoka while we're making this move?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Hans Bakery has wonderful donuts, so since this is the morning, I would recommend that you go to Hans Bakery. There's also a Swedish bakery in Anoka on the other end of town, so if you're coming from the north, I would go to the Swedish bakery. If you're coming from the south, I would go to Hans Bakery, and with that, you can return to your regular programming, Mr. Chair.
Oh, on that note, well, welcome to the table, Chair O'Driscoll. Would you like to move HF2027 before the committee to be placed on the general register?
Madam Chair, that is my intention, to move House File 2027 and ask it to be before the committee and to be re-referred to the general register.
Chair O'Driscoll, you have a DE2 amendment which reflects the agreed-to House position for the liquor bill. Would you please explain the amendment?
I will, Madam Chair, and there actually was a method to my madness of asking Representative Stevenson to talk about Anoka. You will recall the day that we were discussing liquor, we did have a day dedicated to learning more about social districts and how it's working in Anoka in front of this committee. And again, I want to underscore that this committee did a great job of discovery and asking questions, and good questions. And I think that Anoka actually appreciated hearing from this committee what their concerns were and the pluses and the minuses as we contemplate getting the report back from them in August, as well as taking this matter up next year to figure out what do social districts need to look like in the state of Minnesota. And the reason that I bring that up is we have heard no bills on social districts because we want to do our job and do our due diligence on that. And so again, I thank Representative Stevenson for arranging for Anoka to be present. In the DE2 amendment, we have incorporated a large number of the bills that were practicable to be able to get resolved and find solutions for this year. Some didn't need any, some needed a few, some we were just not ready to be able to include. So members of the committee, there are going to be 13 different provisions in the DE amendment. And they're not necessarily in the same order maybe that I'm going to be talking about them, but we first have the request that came from members of the House that talked about the St. Paul Science Museum and the Union Depot being able to have a license to be able to, or granted permission to be able to apply for a license to be able to have events that could serve liquor there. There were two provisions that are in the bill for the University of Minnesota licensing. They're as separate entries. They both came from the same author, but because of the nature of those, they were split out into two different items in the language of the DE amendment. We had a provision of talking about a food truck being able to serve alcohol at private events. We did offer an amendment to that to clarify that it would be private events only because there were concerns by members of the committee about whether or not this would be, what would be the parameters, what would be the managing of the sale and distribution of alcohol. So it's for private events only, for example, a wedding or something of that nature. Another provision in the bill is a provision that allows those age 17 to be able to serve alcohol in places that have liquor licenses. We put some language around that as well that reemphasizes that that 17-year-old is not their own boss, that they have to report to someone who's going to supervise them while they are on duty engaged in those activities. We have another provision from a member that's been like the minor provision liquor that I just mentioned, wine shipments. We've removed some of the language in that bill, and we're looking to move the cases from 2 to 4 per year. Nothing else changing on that. We have the Minneapolis Food Hall request in the bill. We also have the St. Louis Park Food Hall on the west end included, and you'll recall we had the same operator who was here with two different legislators talking about the same type of request for two different different locations. There's also the Mankato request, and there is some language in the bill that clarifies really where that liquor license can be. The arena is off campus. It's the campus that's requesting it. It's not a chain from the distance between the campus to the arena. It is the arena that would have that ability to apply for a license. We also have a provision from another member in the House that is dealing with the Dawn, I'm saying that right, the Dawn Golf Course in Bloomington and their liquor license request. And we have a Lake of the Woods, which was approved previously, but there were some filing issues where the community did not step forward and get that taken care of. We're renewing that. There is also a provision from another one of our members on this committee for the Rochester Chateau Theater that is included. And finally, there is a provision in here for the Springfield Community Center. So there are 13 provisions that are in the House bill, and that is the DE amendment. And so, Madam Chair, to that end, we will take a look at the DE if members have questions or if there's questions from the public today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chair O'Driscoll. Members, we really do not have any amendments to the DE2, so we will move to testimony, and I will open it up to the public who wishes to testify to the DE2 amendment to HF2027. Do we have any public testifiers? Any public that would like to testify to DE2? Seeing none, we will move right to the members for members' questions. Representative Hewitt.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Chair O'Driscoll. I just have one question that just keeps coming up, and actually constituents ask about it, and it's with your bill, the 17 server. I don't know if that's what we're calling it, but has the insurance companies contacted you? And if the insurance company chooses not to insure the institution, is that going to be a problem? I'm kind of caught on this one.
Chair O'Driscoll.
Madam Chair, I'm going to answer that in three parts, Representative Hewitt. As you know from previous testimony, we have folks in the insurance industry who are here who are still present, and we just had comment period, and they didn't come forward on it. And Mr. Cocking would have been someone who would have had carriers that would have written coverage in that area. Number two, in Minnesota law, in order for someone to serve alcohol or sell alcohol, they have to go through training, and that does not exempt 17-year-olds from the required training or the compliance checks that are periodically done by local jurisdictions to make sure that liquor is properly being managed. What it does, it just brings another group of people under the same umbrella on that. If you want further clarification or comfort, other than my word, Mr. Cocking is here, and I'm happy to have him come forward if he's willing to discuss that with you if you have some questions.
No, Mr. Chair, I just spent too much time with him, so.
On that note, Representative Hewitt, I think is done.
Please.
Any other members' discussion? Representative Ryer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have just one minor question. It's line 3.24. It's in the food truck section.
Representative Ryer, could you cite that for me again, please?
3.24.
324. Yep.
We changed it to be just the private events, and it's consistent throughout, except on this line, it also says prior to any community festival or event or any private catered event, and I'm concerned that that might cause confusion for people who are reading the bill or trying to apply the bill later. Thank you.
Chair O'Driscoll.
Representative Ryer, you bring up a very good question. This is language that we were working with staff based on the feedback that we got from the testimony that we had in working with nonpartisan staff. I also understand and support the private venues, and if it's the wishes of the committee, what I will do, if we move this, I will get clarification. If we need to, I will be happy to be the first person to step up and offer clarifying language on the House floor when this bill comes up to take care of that or explain what happened on that provision, if you're okay with that, Representative Ryer.
Chair Driscoll and Representative, any further questions? Nope. We will turn to also then Lori Pompo for further clarification, please, our House Research Analysis.
Yeah, thank you, Chair and members. This looks to be something left over from an earlier edition of this amendment. So staff recommends an oral amendment to strike that reference.
Thank you. Chair O'Driscoll, further?
If we can get it cleaned up today, all the better, because it's only going to get busier from here for all of us in the legislature. So if Ms. Pomp, who needs a few minutes to kind of collect her thoughts with all of her, not all of us looking at her at the same time and putting extra pressure on her, that would be helpful.
Representative
But
Ryer?
when you're ready, let us know, Ms. Pompo.
Chair and members, I think I'm ready to go.
Okay?
The oral amendment will be on line 3.24. After the first two, we're going to delete any community festival or event, comma, or, and leave the rest of the language in.
Chair O'Driscoll, would you like to move that oral amendment?
So just to repeat, to make sure that I understand and everyone in the committee understands, in the public, line 3.24, D, the licensee shall notify prior to, then delete any community festival or event, comma, and then the language stays as written, or any private catering event.
Chair and members, we're going to delete that extra "or" at the end too. So in the end, it'll read, "The licensee shall notify prior to any private catered event." So we'll have a single sentence going there.
I will move that oral amendment.
Chair O'Driscoll moves the oral amendment. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those, please say no, nay. Motion prevails.
And Madam Chair, thank you, Representative Ryer. I should have asked if you were okay with that before we voted on it, but I appreciate your help on that.
Right, Representative Ryer?
Madam Chair, thank you for being receptive. Appreciate it.
We certainly want to have the intent of what we were doing in statute.
We will next go to Representative Finke.
Thank you, Chair Perryman and Chair O'Driscoll. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the work that you've done on this since we heard the proposals on Liquor Day. That day, I kind of came out as a bit of a wet blanket, and I feel grateful that some of those concerns were referenced in the changes, even up to this very oral amendment. So, yeah, I'm grateful for the robust conversation and the changes as we move forward. I think it's important to be cautious about these changes, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you to both chairs and the committee.
Thank you. Any next member we have on the docket?
Madam Chair, if I might. Thank you,
yes.
Representative Finke. That has been a hallmark of this committee, is being able to work together and take the time to get things done right. And it's very refreshing to be able to do that. We don't always have committee time in different committees with the hustle and bustle to do that. And I have come to learn over the years, the bills you don't want to carry in the legislature are liquor bills and reinsurance bills, and the list goes on. But somebody has to do it, and so I appreciate your support and help on that, Representative Finke.
Representative Kresha?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Chair O'Driscoll, for the bill. I know how difficult liquor bills can be just because of all the conversations around those. And I want to highlight the section on the wine transfer for the shipping, and glad to see that's in here on line 5.2. And I do want to just take a moment to say, and you mentioned it, it's difficult to carry liquor bills because there can be this air of controversy around that. And by seeing this section in here with transferring or moving the transfer from 2 to 4 and the shipping, it gives me great hope that this body is willing to talk about the transfer of alcohol and the different ways that can happen. And one of the things that I just want to put a side commercial, I want to tell you all, this bill, I understand where you're at, appreciate it, and it's allowed a lot of that, what we can get done to go forward. But members, we have a bill, House File 901, it's a wine transfer bill that we've talked about for many, many members. I just want to highlight to you that is not as controversial, and it keeps staying out of these bills. And when Representative Stevenson carried the bill, he had a hearing as well. So my hope for this body and for this committee is that we consider that transferring wine is acceptable, and that it can be done, and it can be done safely, and that we shouldn't just listen to the outside naysayers who are saying this is controversial. So with that, appreciate your bill, and would hope that folks could work with this committee and the body further on expansion of that. So thank you for that.
Chair O'Driscoll, any comments?
Just appreciate hearing from members on concerns. This is the first half of a two-year biennium, and I believe that we will be seeing a liquor bill next year if we do move forward with social districts, so there'll be an opportunity for additional clarifications if it is the wishes of the committee.
Next is Representative Herr, and after Representative Herr is Representative Cha.
Madam Chair, if we could have Representative Chow go first, and I can go last.
Representative Cha.
Thank you, appreciate that, Chair.
Yes,
To the author,
sir.
Representative Driscoll, I had concerns about your 17-year-old liquor bill, but I really appreciate that we had the side conversation and the explanation, and I do agree with you that, you know, after the pandemic, and before the pandemic happened, I was actually working at the country club, and we couldn't get enough servers to come in to service the restaurant, and obviously the membership was very upset about that, and I couldn't imagine, but for the duration of that time, we couldn't get employment into that service. So thanks for your explanation on the bill, and good luck. Thank you.
Chair O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Representative Cha, thank you for teeing that up for me. I have found a very disturbing trend happening in the conversations of people who've been coming to my office, not just with these issues, and maybe you have as well, where just finding people post-pandemic is very difficult for employers right now. And where we're in a situation where it's like people were working and the pandemic came and they didn't have work, or they worked differently, like, hey, I can, have less stress in my life, I can have more peaceful, I'm retiring early, I'm doing things. And what I'm hearing from the folks, because we hit with insurance issues here, so the medical folks want to come in, they're like, we're hiring doctors, but we're having doctors who are saying, I only want to work 3 days a week. If they are backfilling for a doctor who's retiring, we're losing 40% of patient contact time for that doctor. That is extremely challenging. And so this has been the genesis behind this in the hospitality industry, to be able to open that up and to build a little bit of a runway for folks to be able to develop a working relationship as an employer and employee, to give folks an opportunity to be able to raise some money and save for college or for other kinds of things while they're at a younger age. So I appreciate that, Representative Cha.
Representative Cha, any further?
No, thank you.
We'll go to Representative Herr.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to say, publicly that Representative O'Driscoll has been a really great partner in putting this liquor omnibus together. We've worked really well together. And so I am going to actually ask for a 10-minute recess, and this is not a reflection of the work or any issue within this bill itself. There's just a small piece of process that I just need to check in with Representative O'Driscoll on. So if I could just ask for a 10-minute recess, and then for us to reconvene after that, Madam Chair.
Chair O'Driscoll, do you have any comments to the recess?
Yeah, I'm open to a recess. If there are questions that we need to take offline with the co-chair and myself, happy to do that.
So,
Madam Chair, a recess for 10 minutes or to the call of the chair. That's just an approximate time. I don't want to have us be able to resolve it and have to sit for 7 minutes and wait for 10 minutes to pass. But it's anticipated that it will be less than 10 minutes, but to the call of the chair, if you're okay with that.
the committee is in recess for 10 minutes. Members, I call the Commerce, Finance, and Policy back to order and reconvene. Chair O'Driscoll?
Madam Chair, thank you, and members and those of the public for the recess. There were some technical questions, and the amendment that was circulated, we wanted to be transparent, will not be offered today, and we are ready, if there are no other member questions, to move to a vote.
Any other member questions? And we will go to the roll. All those in favor?
We need to, I want to offer Co-Chair Hurd the opportunity
sorry.
to
Yes.
speak
I'm
to
sorry.
this as well before we do the adoption of the DE.
Thank you, Chair Perryman, and thank you, Co-Chair O'Driscoll. I really do, I want to just state for the record that, you have been a fantastic partner in this, and that we all worked really hard in trying to hear as many bills that came in the timeline that we had asked for people to, and you have worked really hard to incorporate the feedback that was given by our side as well into this. And so I just want to say I appreciate the work that you've put into this and your willingness to collaborate. And this is a good bill, and I would recommend all of our members to vote yes for the bill.
Chair O'Driscoll?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I would underscore what Representative Hurd said. She has been a great partner in this effort, and I appreciate the members' support. And so what I'd like to do, Madam Chair, is I'd like to move the DE2 amendment as amended with our change on line 3.24 to House File 2027, and to be referred to the General Register.
All those in favor of the DE2 amendment as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The motion prevails and the amended is adopted as amended. Chair O'Driscoll, Chair O'Driscoll, please, your closing comments.
I think we've had, it's last call, let's just close down and head home.
And Mr. Chair,
Okay. As amended. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
That's why we're recessing, is I needed to come up with a groaner for this.
That's a question. Representative Crecia has a comment,
for the
question.
record, Madam Chair, I think I heard you say the amendment as amended, and I think, just to make sure the record stated, it's the bill as amended. So I just want to make sure you have that correct for the recording. Yep. Did we get the motion right?
We are taking the amendment first, and then we'll move to the final motion.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Representative Katiza Batoon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to appreciate the reference to a Minnesota band in that closing time comment, Mr. Chair. Semisonic.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, there were no appropriate Taylor Swift references available.
She seems to pop up several times. So with that said, the chair renews Chair O'Driscoll's motion that HF 2027 as amended be placed on the general registry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no, nay. The motion prevails and HF 2027 as amended is placed on the general registry. Any more, especially from the two chairs, Chair Hurd or Chair O'Driscoll, any further comments?
I will, Madam Chair, thank you. I will tell you that obviously it's Thursday. We have first and second deadlines by the end of next week, followed by the finance deadline, the third deadline the following week. Members, the two co-chairs and staff will be getting together to talk about a framework. Be prepared for markup of other bills. This is our first bill off the island in the way of an omnibus bill from this committee. And again, appreciate working with all of you.
Thank you. Seeing no,
Does
I'm sorry,
Co-Chair Hurd
I
have
did
any
ask
comments?
Chair Hurd. She said no, so.